Welcome to the Trading Sliders Podcast. Here we go, episode 30 of the Trading Sliders Podcast. Happy Easter. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I'm Bobby Puckett. Here in the studio with me is Kurt the Flash Bennett. What's going on, Flash?
Not much, Bobby. Just been out cruising around the railroad today.
Well,
just have fun nice.
Well, weather's nice, that's for sure. Surprised you got any energy to cruise around the rat rod for this weekend.
Not much, but it was a long weekend.
Yeah, long race weekend. We're going to get into that. This week's guest is Scotty Earl. Scotty is a racer's racer, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Car owner now, but a racer for many years in our area. And growing up with the legendary Robert Earl, he had some great stories. So
yeah.
You guys want to stick around for that. This week's show being brought to you by Diesel Boys LLC. Reach out to Brandon Hooker and the guys at Diesel Boys if you got any automotive needs, especially diesel trucks. They specialize in that, but they carry race car parts for the guys that race in Southern Indiana. Check out Diesel Boys LLC and Brandon Hooker and them if you need anything automotive related. Walt at Speed Decals, a continuous sponsor since day one. Sponsor of our Slider of the Week. If you need anything vinyl work related, stickers, banners, yard signs, vehicle wraps, anything you need, Walt at Speed Decals can get you taken care of. You can find him on Facebook. Also, Kentucky Clutch and Performance, another continuous sponsor since day one. They sponsored our deep dives. They're the ones that brings you the interviews each and every week.
Yeah.
If you need anything clutch related, tractors, semi trucks, cars, performance, Chris and the guys at Kentucky Clutch can take care of that. And if it's something tore up really, really bad, me personally will probably be putting it back together. And, last but finally not least, D.O. Handyman and Remodeling sponsors our Crash of the Week. And we had a big one this week, so we'll get into that. But D.O. Handyman and Remodeling, if you need anything around your house, handyman related, windows, siding, gutters, fences, anything, he takes care of it all. Call David at D.O. Handyman Remodeling, 812-989-5002. That's our sponsors, and we say this each and every week. Please help the people that help us. We're not saying you have to use them, but at least give them a consideration.
Yeah.
Call them, get a quote, talk to them. They help us each and every week get up and down the road. Flash, busy weekend this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
News of the week. Hoosier late model has a new tire. New tire, same result, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
We'll get into that slightly. I mean, we have to talk about it because it's the big news, but there's not really a whole lot to talk about on our end.
Yeah.
Big car counts this weekend at multiple places. World Outlaw Sprint Cars had a huge car count at Knoxville Raceway. And then the Southern Nationals, Ray Cook Southern National Series had, two big car counts this weekend. Actually, Saturday at Tazewell, it was down a little bit, but the quality was not.
Right,
but
yeah.
Over 40 super late models in the pits at I-75 Raceway. So that was a big turnout for the guys in the South. I think the weather kind of helped them out.
Yeah.
Because everything up north.
Everything north was rained out, yeah.
Didn't have an option, so they got to go down south and race for big money. One other thing, Bobby Pierce does Bobby Pierce things.
Yep.
Double down again this weekend for Bobby Pierce.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But first things first, we're going to talk about the big car counts. Knoxville Raceway, 65 410 wing sprint cars. I'm going to be honest, usually we don't talk about nothing we didn't see. I didn't see this event because we were on the road all weekend. I went to Circle City Friday. Flash went to Paragon Friday.
Yep.
And then we both went to Rockcastle last night. So it was a late weekend, so I didn't get to see this one. But I was wanting to give a shout out to World of Outlaws and Knoxville Raceway because they got tons of rain Friday night and could have pulled the plug on this, and they didn't. But Rico Abreu took the win over Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
Not like I said, we can't give you no breakdown. I know there was a big crash there too, but we didn't see all that. I just seen clips floating around on Facebook. So if we don't see it, we don't really talk about it. We're not gonna get out here and bullshit about something we didn't see.
Right.
But something we did see. 40 cars at I-75 Raceway. Ricky Weiss took the win over Corey Hedgecott. A race that had seemed like 4,444 cautions.
Yeah.
There was carnage everywhere. But Ricky Weiss took the win. And the bad thing was, it wasn't because the racetrack was pretty good, Flash. It wasn't locked down.
Right.
It wasn't rough. Sometimes guys just run into each other.
Yeah, it just happens.
and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit too. But sometimes it's just a bad night. And but Ricky Weiss took the win, and then Saturday, they make the trip over to Tazewell Speedway for the $20,000 to win. This is going to be this week's Slider of the Week is going to go to Tyler Erb.
Yeah. Starting
11th and ripping around Tazewell Speedway. As the race is back on again, back on the loop right now on the TV in front of us. But Tyler Erb started 11th and took the win over Jimmy Owens, who started 12th. And Brandon Overton ended up 3rd. Overton started on the pole, kind of fell back a little bit. But Turbo was just flat on a different level this weekend. He looked like he had something to prove.
Yeah, I think so. He looked like he did when he was running Summer Nationals because he was just hammered down the whole time.
So this week's Slider of the Week, presented by Speed Decals, goes to Turbo Tyler Erb for picking up the $20,000 to win. One thing I want to say about that, did you see the video going around where Mike Marlar was showing Turbo how they kind of play a little bit in the South?
No, I didn't get to see it yet.
Okay, so for everybody out there, this is funny. So Marlar tells Turbo, jump on the back of the four-wheeler. I'm going to ride over here and show you the racetrack. So Turbo gets on. Marlar cranks it up and rides a wheelie like all the way across the pits. Turbo's hanging on like a little kid. Like, let me down. But it was funny. The other thing that we're going to talk about real quick was how do you say that? Slocum 50 at 34 Raceway. Hoosier has a new tire out, and I don't know what the hoopla is because Bobby Pierce did Bobby Pierce things. He ran second on Thursday night, and then just went ahead and won Friday and Saturday, and took all the money from the Mars Racing Series. So.
He what was it, last lap pass? Oh, on the last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, Pierce. That really could have been Slider of the Week, honestly.
Yeah.
But I know Turbo's had a rough year, so we're just gonna give Turbo the.
Give him the Lord.
Let Turbo have a little positivity. As we got somebody creeping up out front.
Yeah.
But
checking out the rat ride. That's what they're doing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I forgot Flash is in his rat ride out here.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool. Dude, I got in a fight with him one time.
Yeah.
Up here at the stop sign, we squared up, and like he was gonna go and I was gonna go. Then he wasn't gonna go, so I pulled out there. Then he was gonna go, so we just stopped. And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "What?" And he just peels off all mad. But he rides up and down the road all the time now. Cool dude.
Yeah.
Cool. But it was so funny. He's like, it was like the first week we lived here.
Yeah.
She's like, I mean, why are you mad? I'm like, I wasn't. It's like, why you throw your hands up? I was like, because he was throwing his hands up. Why the hell wouldn't I throw my hands up? I'm not gonna get punked out. By some old cat up here at the four-way.
Yeah.
but yeah. Race trips this week. Want to let you start off, Flash. Flash went to Paragon for the Northern All-Star Late Models because he gets off work a little earlier than I do. So he could make it there, and I could make it to Circle City. So I went to Circle City this week. But they ended up with 30 Super Late Models and 39 mods, Flash.
Yeah.
For the James Essex Northern All-Stars for the $10,000 to win Marvin O'Neill Memorial. So tell us about that.
Yeah, that place, it races good for late models. It's I went to a couple weeks ago to the No Way Out 40, and I think it would have been a lot better race if the track wasn't so bad. But they had wind and sun beat on it all day too and everything, so it was a little slow in 1 and 2. It was not slow in 1 and 2 this time. It was hammered down, biked up. I mean, it was cool.
This was on Hunt the Front TV, so if you didn't see it and you want to go back, they put it out on YouTube. They put the highlights out. I think you can pretty much watch the whole feature on YouTube if you want to check it out.
Yeah, it's well worth watching because it's probably the top 2 or 3 features. 2 or 3 best feature I've seen all year in late models. Yeah, it was really good.
Well, when I went back and watched the replay, when Jameson took the lead and he biked up, I thought he was full sail gone.
Jameson had to take the lead about 3 times in that race, though, man. The cautions kept getting him right when he get the lead. They'd throw caution. I can't really, I don't know what the deal was, but I don't understand why Hudson didn't change his lineup after the first time.
Well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate on that.
Yeah.
In Hudson's defense,
yeah.
Hudson looked like he was a little tight anyways.
Yeah, he was.
So he had to kind of run where he was running.
Yeah.
But Jameson wasn't tight.
Yeah.
So he could run all over.
Yeah.
Just by watching the video, that's what it looked like to me. It looked like Hudson was like, I know he's going to pass me, but I can't go down there because then 4 of them's going to pass me.
Yeah, but it's a lot different when you're running second and when you're running first. Like, Hudson leading, he don't know what's going on behind him. And Jameson, he's one of them guys that just throws him over his shoulder and goes, and that's what he was doing the other night. He was on a mission.
Yeah, well, Jameson, he doesn't Hudson races for a living.
Right.
Jameson races to win.
Right. For wins. Exactly.
Yeah, there's no if Hudson runs second and doesn't tear anything up, that's a success.
Yeah.
If Jameson runs second, doesn't tear anything up, he's pissed because he's going to win.
Yeah.
So it's 2 totally different style racers.
Yeah. I'm sure Hudson wanted to win that race because it was for his grandpa.
Yeah.
But he still ran second, so it's really good.
Yeah, Jameson got the win. Hudson O'Neill second, and Steve Peden.
Yeah.
Crate racer turned super late model racer this year. Ended up third, so good run for Steve
Yeah,
Peden.
and he got up there as a 4th for a while, like early in the race, and then he dropped back to like 6th or 7th, and he run back up there again at the end. So, but he had what's his name fell out. He was on a mission too. James Rice. Josh Rice.
Yeah, he broke a water pump.
Yeah, Josh broke a water pump. I thought he had a flat, so I didn't find out till the next day that he actually broke a water pump.
Yeah, actually, I think he broke a fan.
Yeah.
Earlier in the race.
Right.
Kept running, and it threw the bearing out the water pump. That's what I think happened.
Throw it out of balance. I'd say, yeah.
So, and honestly, I think he had issues Saturday at 191 too.
Yeah.
So maybe some boats or something stripped out.
I can't believe they didn't tear more stuff up though, because man, them guys was running into 1 and 2 down there, and they had a big cushion down there. There was 4 or 5 guys biking up every single lap. It was crazy.
Well, it's fun when late models race like sprint cars.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
And they had 39 Northern All-Star modifieds.
Yeah.
A big modified field.
Bunch of good cars too.
Yeah, a bunch of real good cars. Ryan Thomas took the win. Trent Young started 6th and ran 2nd. And Colin Green started 3rd, ran 3rd. But hat shake to Ben Harmon, previous winner of the Northern All-Stars. Had some misfortune in his heat race. Had to get started in the back of the B main.
Yep.
Transferred into the B main from the B main. Started 22nd and ran 7th, past 15 cars. So
yeah.
Hat shake to Ben Harmon for salvaging the night from what could have been really bad.
Yeah, he did a heck of a job because he didn't. Them guys was running right on the hub, and he moved up a groove and found something there and started working on them and just picking them off one at a time.
You know what they say, Flash?
Yeah.
Can't pass them if you're following them.
Yeah, that's right.
It don't matter, no matter how fast you are.
That's what I've always said.
If you're going in the same tire tracks as them, 9 times out of 10, you're not passing them.
Yep.
So, but overall, how was the trip?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, it was really good. That was it was a little late getting home that night, but we had a little bit of rain. I mean, just rained for maybe 5 minutes, not hard, and they just kept the bomber. It was during the bomber heat races, and they just kept them running, so that didn't let the track get messed up. So it was actually really good.
Well,
and it was packed too. There was stands were packed, so moving to Friday night didn't hurt as much as a few guys that said it would.
Yeah,
it didn't hurt them as bad as you think it would. I mean, you can't make everybody happy because if we got rained out Saturday, that there's people probably not going to be able to make it the next Saturday, or the next time they ran it.
Well, here's the thing: Paragon Speedway is on the uptick as far as changing the way we do things in the racing industry.
Yeah.
If the weather looks bad, they'll move the race up. They'll move the race back. They don't really. Not that I don't want to say they don't worry about stepping on nobody else's toes.
Yeah.
But the way they feel about it is, their product for their fans, and that's what they're looking out for.
Right.
So, I like the way Paragon Speedway does things. If you got issues, they help you out. If you're a racer, they kind of work around your schedule. If you got stuff going on, it's a lot of give and take, and not just take.
Right.
From Paragon Speedway. So the staff there is doing good.
Yeah, and I think you got a really good following up in that part of Indiana too. So I mean, people are going to show up at the racetrack.
Well, Flash, it's Central Indiana.
Well, I wasn't going to say.
I mean,
there's nothing else to do there, but
it is Central Indiana.
I seen one bar on the way home that night, and everybody that goes to a bar was at that bar.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, you got some really badass racetracks in that area.
Yeah.
I tell my wife all the time, like people want to retire to Florida. I want to retire to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I want to go to where the sprint cars
you just
are.
go whichever direction you want to go.
Yeah. So Friday night, I went to Circle City. Speaking of Indianapolis, made the trip up there. First things, thank you, Circle City, for starting the races just a tad bit later on a Friday and getting the races done at a decent hour even with your multiple divisions.
Yeah.
That is a place that's, I've always kind of gave them a hard time because I didn't think it was going to work out.
Yeah.
When I heard that pavement guys were going to run a dirt track, I said, well, this is never going to work.
Yeah.
It took some lumps when they got started, but right now the show is ran efficient. The facility is clean, and once they start, they don't stop.
Yeah.
I mean, if they got to water the track, they'll water it in between heat races. I mean, there's no downtime. And they had a slew of race cars.
Yeah.
I know they ran 8 divisions, but they had like 149, 150 cars.
Yeah.
They ended up with 41 who's retired Midwest sprint cars. Ricky Lewis was there. Jaden Rogers was there. Shane Cottle. I mean, you got a bunch of, USAC and National Series guys.
Yeah.
I think Lewis broke a rear end or something in the heat race, so his night was done. But Jaden Rogers took the win, started third. But Rylan Gray, young kid out of Greenville, Indiana, just earlier this year, he wasn't for sure if he was going to race this year.
Right.
I think he just turned 17 years old, and they put a deal together at the last second. He started 8th and ran 2nd, and Rylan Gray was throwing haymakers.
Yeah.
The
week before he was running good.
Yeah, well, and he put it in the fence. Yeah. But he, I think he had something for Jaden Rogers, but the caution came out at the right time for Rogers.
Right.
And then Gray just couldn't really get a run on him after that.
Yeah.
But good race. Our buddy Royce and his fiancee Bella came up there, and they brought the baby into the baby got to see his first non-wing sprint car race.
There you go.
So, and in my lap most of the night.
Yeah.
Because she started getting a little fussy, and so Uncle Bobby had to take her over, make sure she didn't cry all night. But fun trip. But the race of the night was the Midwest Mini Sprints.
Oh, yeah.
They took the tops off, so they were non-wing. 1200cc non-wing mini sprints.
Oh, yeah.
Basically midgets. Race like midgets. Jordan Shipley started 9th and took the win on the cushion. Right rear on the wall. While everybody else was kind of running the diamond bottom or in the middle, kind of turning it down.
Yeah.
Because I think there was only about 5 or 6 of them that were real comfortable without the wing. And Jordan Shipley was one of them. I mean, just absolutely running balls to the wall. So it was a good show.
Yeah.
Got home in a decent hour, a little bit earlier than you guys did.
Yeah.
I was able to get home by 1:30, so wasn't terrible.
You guys, it was just me.
Well, yeah. Well,
yeah, but I seen a lot of people I knew up there, so it was good to see walk through stands and see a lot of people that I hadn't got to see for a while.
And then Saturday night, we made our way down to the Rockcastle Speedway for the Cumberland Plateau Open Wheel Modified Series. Kurt got his first taste of a little bit of racing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
As Kurt come on board to help with tech and lineups and a little bit of everything at the racetrack. Before we get into the race events and stuff, anything you noticed different from behind the scenes than you did when you was racing or as a fan?
Yeah, it's a lot harder to line cars up than you think it is. A whole lot.
So you got people, give the guys
got
the
people in
drum
the
a
third
break.
pulling up first and blocking the whole lane where you can't get the other guys through. But yeah, it was fun. It was an experience though.
Yeah, Kurt said, I think I walked 10 miles in 30 feet.
Yeah.
I said, what? He said, the same 30 feet back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth trying to get over.
But your first time to Rockcastle, beautiful setting, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful settings of the racetrack, in the country. Really.
Oh yeah, it's like being in the mountains. Well, it's in the mountains.
It's kind of in the mountains, that Flash.
Yeah.
Go uphill both ways.
I had to walk up to the upper pits one time. That was enough. Well, I almost say I hiked up.
No, you didn't walk.
Yeah.
That's the only hiking I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
To the top of the pits there at Rockcastle. But we had 26 cars sign in for the Cumberland Plateau Open Modified Series. Great field of race cars.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty stout field of race cars. Earlier when we talked about one of those nights where things just happen.
Yeah.
This is one of those nights where things just happen. It was started off smooth.
Yeah.
We had qualifications. Everything was great. Had 3 heat races that had 1 caution in all 3 heat races. Everybody played nice.
Yeah.
Had a B main that had 12 cars in it. one caution in it.
Yep.
Because somebody got a little overzealous, standing on the throttle, kind of put it in the wall a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, everything was nice and smooth until it was time for the feature.
Right.
A lot of the kids that run with the Cumberland Plateau Series, they have been racing a bunch already. I went through and did the math, and I think we had 26 feature wins on the year in this field.
Oh, yeah.
Since January.
That's
There was
pretty
26 feature wins, since January. So,
yeah, that's good.
yeah. But we also had some guys that was their first race of the season.
Yeah.
And,
A couple guys first racing a modified.
Yeah, a couple guys first time they ever sit in a car.
Kid that moved up from.
Keegan Cup, last year's mini stock track champion. Actually ran pretty good. I talked to him a little bit before he left. He actually he missed the show by one because another guy's first time in a modified.
Yeah.
Kind of decided he needed the whole track to make the turn.
Yeah.
Our buddy Greg I've got a car to fix.
Yeah.
It was dropped off last night before I got home. So,
Yeah.
But overall, it was a really good race. One thing I want to say about the race, Brian Barber set fast time, and if you look at my race pass and say, well, he set fast time, won his heat, won his feature, that doesn't tell the story.
Yeah.
It was a really pretty entertaining race given track conditions with wind blowing 1,000 mile an hour.
Yeah. And the sun out most of the day.
It was challenging for the track.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
say that. Because the wind was kicking, and the wind was kicking Friday too at Circle City.
Oh yeah, it was a Paragon too.
I thought the light poles were going to fall over at Circle City, and they were doing the limbo.
Yeah.
But Brian Barber took the win over Jacob Hall and David Clark. The initial start of the race, I kind of felt bad for Trent Young.
Yeah.
I don't know if he spun the tires or didn't know they weren't going green, or a little bit of both, or got on the tire and pulled the tire off the wheel. But they stacked him up behind him, and Ben Harmon checked his rear end gear oil for him. He drove all the way up underneath him. They stacked the cars up. It took us 3 starts to get going. Then once we got going, we clicked off 10 or 15 laps.
Yeah. I think it was 15 the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 10 or 15. And Colton Profit and Jacob Hall were racing for second, and Ben Harmon was right there with them. They were all racing for second and third. Pretty good race right there for second or third. Barber had about straightaway lead at that point. And Cole Hilton from North Carolina started, I think, 8th or 9th, and he was making his way up. Well, we had a caution, and then after the caution, all hell broke loose for the last 4 laps.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What's funny is Matt asked me before the feature, because most of our races are 30 laps, and he says, "You think we should go 25 tonight?" When because we're running heat races and we never ran heats before.
Right.
And I said, we've always done 30. Let's do 30. Well, I apologize to everybody that tore their stuff up the last 4 laps, because if we would have ran 25, there would have been 3 or 4 guys that does not have no work to do this week.
Right.
But my dumb ass said, no, let's go ahead and run 30. That's what we've always run. So we may need to reevaluate that going forward if we're going to run qualifying heat races. But all jokes aside, so this week's Crash of the Week, brought to you by D.O. Handyman and Remodeling. I'm going to give you the stages, how it happened, and my take on it, and we'll let Flash speak his take on it. But, so we come back off of a caution. When they say caution breeds cautions, sometimes cautions breed cautions that breeds reds.
Yeah.
And this is what happened here. So, Prophet gets a run under Jacob Hall and tries to turn under Hall. Hall's in second, Prophet's in third. Hilton's in fourth, and I think Clark or Harmon's in fifth. They're all right there together. But in my opinion, this is the way I see it. Prophet, the 56 car, turned under Hall, scrubbed off his speed, and when he did, the 99 car got a big run down the front stretch and slid him in 1 and 2.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul. Prophet turns back under the 99, going down the backstretch to return the favor. The racetrack was on the rim, either slide or get back in line. You couldn't go beside him. When Prophet realized that he wasn't going to be able to clear him, and it's just like, okay, 8 tires are better than 4.
Yeah.
Because in Prophet's defense, where he started his slide, if he got on the brakes, he was going to spin out, back up the track, and take out 5 or 6 cars.
Yeah.
To the 99 chagrin, he's just racing his line. The 56 gets up into him. They kind of hook up, and then the 56 pulls off. You say, okay, well, that was kind of questionable, but
yeah.
I mean, I get both sides of it.
Right.
The 99's trying to block the slide. The 56 is trying to throw the slide. And if the 56 just turns to the bottom, he's going to do what the 43 did about 4 laps earlier, get all crossed up sideways.
Yeah.
So I get where he's at. As that happens, they go down the front stretch, and the 99 was just like, Cole Hilton from North Carolina was just like, nah, bro, that's not gonna fly with me. And Full Sail video game, slide or die.
Yeah.
Without intentions of sliding.
Yeah.
He hit the 56. They crashed coming off 4. What really sucks about the whole ordeal is JT Ayers and Adam Ogle got their stuff tore up bad.
Yeah.
Because 2 other guys got in a pissing match, basically.
Yep.
Do I think the 56 was in the wrong for initially making the initial pass, trying to make the initial pass? No, I don't. Do I think he used the 99 up? Yes, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, he just did. When he went down the front stretch, did the 99 feel like he needed to return the favor when 1 to go?
Yep.
Yes, he did.
He did.
and he did. So, but what really sucks is for Adam Ogle and JT Ayers, because both of them tore up pretty good race cars. And I know Adam Ogle's got extensive damage. So, if you want to support somebody this week, reach out to Adam Ogle and JT Ayers on Facebook. They have T-shirts. JT Ayers had new shirts at the track.
Yeah.
Maybe buy a shirt because, D.O. Handyman's Crash of the Week, it involved 2 other cars, but these 2 guys got tore up. So that's who we're going to give our Crash of the Week to. Yeah. But overall, good race. Barber got tight on the cushion with about 3 to go, and I thought Hall was going to have a chance, but Hall got to his back bumper, but
Barber was sparking the wall there a couple times. You usually don't see him get up there and do that. It was pretty.
Yeah,
he was.
I tease Barber all the time because he says he likes riding around in the slick.
Yeah.
But anytime there's a cushion, he's up front. So I mean, that's
he drove a heck of a race.
He may like that, but when it gets a little curve, he goes up top.
That was a really good race between him and Hall, though, because I mean, Hall could get him on the bottom a little bit and roll up beside him, but then Barber would have the momentum off the corner.
And one good thing is, like, Hall made a pass earlier in the race on Ben Harmon, and Hall turned under him, slid him, and straightened it up. Hall's not a kid. I mean, to be so young, he doesn't get overly aggressive. If he doesn't have the pass, he's usually not going to run into you. Right. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just But overall, a good show. I want to say thank you to Dwayne Harris and his wife there at Rockcastle for being such gracious hosts. Nicest press box in America. I've been in press boxes all over the country. It's hands down the nicest one I've been in. I haven't been to Lucas Oil but hands down, nicest one. And always accommodating. So overall, it's a good trip. Cumberland Plateau Oval Modifieds. Our next race is May 3rd, Derby Day, at the Bad Fast Tazewell Speedway. So hopefully everybody can get their stuff fixed, and we'll try it again. Yeah, it's been a first time in I think 7 or 8 years since they've had a major modified race at Tazewell Speedway. So
so that should be pretty cool.
And watching the races this past weekend at Tazewell, it looks like she's going to be slick in the middle and up on the curve. So I'm really looking forward to Tazewell. Oh, yeah.
You're going to slide it in there. And Tazewell's one of the places where you got to crank it sideways to get around the corner. It's not, you don't just drive around the corner there.
And speaking of this, Flash, I don't know where you guys are going to line the car up, but you may be going hiking again.
Yeah.
At Tazewell.
Yeah.
You may be down in the infield, it looks like.
Tazewell needs a chairlift to get you out of the infield almost. That place is crazy. A long time ago, we pulled up there, and it was on a day after the races was over, and I was going to drive down the track, and I was a little Honda Accord, and I said, I don't think we can get back out if I drive down there.
I may not want to do that.
I'm not going to do that.
No. But overall, good trip, fun weekend. I know it was a couple late nights, but that's just the way it is.
Oh, yeah.
But I was telling my wife earlier today, said it's almost like we've been staring out this window since Friday at 4:30.
Yeah.
On the road, but overall fun trip. Flash got to see the backside of how it's done at the racetrack, and so now when he comes up and bitches at you about something, it's because he's done it, and he wants to make sure you do it right.
And those guys, I apologize to all them guys at the drum and everywhere. Like, what are you doing? Trying to line me up like that. It's not as easy as it looks, guys.
Yeah. Even with all the technology now, it's still kind of a pain in the ass.
It's a good thing I had my race pass.
How would you like to do that on a piece of paper you're jotting down off the board?
Exactly.
That'd be really tough.
Or waiting on them to call it down to you.
Yeah. But
they used to send the paper down on the line in most places. Remember?
Yeah. Bloomington still does that.
Yeah.
They still got a line. But so we're gonna get off here and get into this week's deep dive. Scotty Earl out of the legendary Holbert Racing family. It's time for the Trading Sliders Deep Dives presented by Kentucky Clutch and Performance. Here we go on this week's Trading Sliders Deep Dives. Flash, we got a legend with us.
Oh, yeah.
Scotty Earl from the legendary Holbert Racing family. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I always start out super tough. So the first question right off the bat is the hard one, and then after that they get easier. So I'm just going to start out like this. For a guy that's not as scared to break the rules, how did you get to that point? How did you get to the point that win at all costs?
Well, I don't know what. We just try to push the limit as much as we can, and sometimes you got to get into that gray area to do that.
Because I tell people, Scotty lives in the gray area. He doesn't get in the gray area, he lives in the gray area.
Well, if I can think of it, somebody else has too. So I try to just push it as much as I can.
Okay, so that was the hard question. They're going to get easier now. Who made you the cooler bead row thing?
Rick Harper made that for me.
Okay, I'm gonna get a picture of that and put it out when we put this out, because Scotty had a moment where he said we might not make the weight, so I'm gonna put this cooler that I don't know how in the hell. Did you reimburse that? I mean, how in the hell did the handle not break off?
Well, I don't know how it didn't hold. It was light beer. I don't understand why.
So Scotty put the cooler in the car, and they made weight, but the damn thing, when Scotty raced, they didn't have videos on everything.
Yeah.
They had the video from the top of the camera, people doing the victory lane video. He got busted 3 different ways.
Everybody's got cell phones now.
That video went all the way to Australia. I had people still ask me about that.
That's one thing I want to ask. Growing up in the racing family, because Kurt and I, we grew up watching our dads, just like you. How cool was it to be Robert Earl's baby boy running around the racetrack?
Ooh, it was rough. He worked us like dogs. While he was out lollygagging, we had to work, groove tires, scrape the mud off the car, and wash it, and he made us work our butts off. And he had an act. If we sit down and take a break, he'd show up and say, "What are you sitting down for? We got stuff to do."
Well,
but he won races.
Yes, he did. He won a lot of races.
He won a lot of races.
Yeah, I don't know how many he's won, but he is probably the king of Richmond.
Oh,
he won so many races at Richmond, it was unreal.
Well, there's 2 people that come to mind when you talk about winning at Richmond. It's your dad and Mike Jewell.
Yep.
Those are the
Mike
2 that
Jewell
come to
was very
mind.
good.
Yeah. Was it working for your dad at the trucking business, and then when the work was over, you come in and say, "All right, scratch that. We're going race cars now"? Because did it carry over? I mean, if you screwed up at the truck shop, was you still getting your ass chewed here?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. He never forgot. You know, if you did wrong, you was going to hear it. I mean, you know what it's like to be around somebody 24/7.
Yeah.
And, you're going to butt heads. And my dad wasn't the easiest person to get along with,
Your dad is one of the few guys, though, that I think could crack Huey. Huey would always, "We're doing it this way," then your dad would just come in and stop every production that Huey's doing. And like Huey would, bitch about Raymond and stopping production, bitch about Calvin coming in and Jimmy, but when Doug come in, he's like, "Well, okay, Doug, let's go."
Oh, it's a mess. But most time Dad knew what he was doing when it's come to racing world, and everybody listened to him.
Yeah.
He won a lot of races. I don't know how many he's won, but he won a lot of them.
Yeah.
With the success that your dad had, when you decided, all right, I'm going racing, how tough was it to race being Robert Earl's son?
Oh, it was tough. Yes, I had to.
Did you feel like you had to prove yourself, or did you just?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you had to prove yourself, and Dad was going to make sure that you did it the right way. I mean, he would tell everybody else how good I did, but he would never tell me. You know, I could go to Bardstown, set fast time, win the trophy dash, and win the feature, and he'll go to you and he'd say, on lap 15, you slowed down a second. Why? Well, Dad, I'm already lapping the field. He said, I told you never let out. And that's the way he talks.
Yeah.
You know? He would never, he was hard, but he was a true racer. You know, he loved racing.
So you grew up, predominantly, we're in the paved world here in the Louisville area, but you were the first racing family that did the dirt track racing. To you, growing up, doing all the traveling, was it just a normal childhood, or was it just like, man, this is cool that I get to do this every weekend, or because you was a kid, you just didn't really know?
It was like normal, everyday chore, just go race. We raced Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then if it was a Memorial weekend or something, we get to race Monday. And we stay gone all weekend racing. It was great.
Yeah.
I got a funny story I want to tell on your dad. And before we get into this too deep, my dad said, because it was a weekend when the Thanksgiving weekend when they had the racers auction, it was up in Indianapolis. So my dad went by Pee Wee's house, and as he went by, your old man's there, and your old man goes, "What are you doing, Puck?" He goes, "I'm going to the race car auction." He goes, "All right, give me a second." So your dad came out and he rode up with my dad, and he said, "God, man, Doug, he looked like he just got him changing a transmission in a truck." And we get up there, and my dad said he loses him. And so they're just going on through the day, and then your dad come over and goes, "All right, I'm gonna go ahead and head on back home." And I said, "What do you mean you're gonna head on back home?" He said, "Oh, I bought a hauler, a trailer, and a race car. I'm good. I'm gonna drive this back home."
That sounds like Dad. When he sees something he wanted, he got it.
Yeah, it was funny. My dad was like, "I didn't know he had that kind of money on him. I would hit him in the head on the way up there." Yeah. But yeah, your dad, when he started racing, he raced. It was the original Outlaws type schedule. You just went where more money was, or the places you liked. And we didn't have 7 late model divisions like we do now. We had a late model division. You know, what did he teach you as far as racing? Because I know he put a lot of input in your racing, but he also lets you figure your way out.
He taught me how to pay attention to detail. Just made sure your car was mechanically sound, and the more time you spend on the track and less time working on it at the track, you get faster. And that's what he taught me, and is how to be fast.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, because with my dad, and Kurt's dad was, Kurt can speak on this, but with my dad was, "You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out." Your dad wasn't "you'll figure it out" type of guy, was he?
No, my dad wasn't very mechanically inclined. He was kind of a rigger, you know, just if you wire a car, it was all one color, you know, so if you had a problem, you took forever to find it. But he taught me how to drive, you know, pay attention to how the car felt. Through the corner, you know, entry, he said entry was everything, so he taught me how to really pay attention to that.
See, a lot of people know you now as Scotty, the car owner.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids coming to the racetrack that, you know, ask you, "Hey Scotty, can you fix my carburetor? Hey Scotty, can you straighten this for me?" They have no idea that not only was you a racer, you was a pretty successful racer yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too many people knew I were in dirt for all them years. I don't know how many races I did win, but it was fun. along the way.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you one you did win because I was there that night at Kentucky Lake Motor Speedway when you outran Scott Bloomquist.
Yeah.
I can tell you that one for sure.
Yeah.
That was the happiest I think I've ever seen my dad. I come through the scales, and everybody gives me a thumbs up, and I park the car in the pit. My dad come flying in the four-wheeler. And the four-wheeler didn't even stop, and he jumped and tackled me.
Yeah.
And the four-wheeler went and hit somebody else's car.
Yeah.
That's the happiest I ever seen my dad.
That's cool.
And Rayburn was there. And as I come off of turn 2, he give me the thumbs up.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Anytime you get you get an attaboy from CJ Rayburn, you did something, you know? That was,
He taught me a lot. I spent a lot of time up at Rayburn's. My dad actually didn't know a lot about the cars. You know, he just told me how to drive, but he sent me to Rayburn's for weeks to learn race cars.
Well, did
Yeah.
you go out on the Summer Nationals?
Yes, I did a little bit, but that was with Billy Moyer.
Okay.
I went to Winter Nationals with Billy Moyer,
Yeah.
and I drove his hauler. A lot of people don't know that. Me and Billy was good friends back then. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Working with the guys like your old man, Billy Moyer, CJ Rayburn, the guys from Rocket. You've come in contact with so many different people in the racing world. How does the guy that grew up on Preston Highway do that?
I don't know. I guess my dad actually put me in that position to do it, you know, because I was a kid, so he just paid me to learn. So I would still get a check and go race and have fun.
Let me ask you something about the road with Billy Moyer, because you've been on the road with a bunch of different drivers. How did he approach it? Was it because a lot of people think Billy Moyer is strictly business, but I've heard stories where Billy Moyer is not strictly business.
No, he's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
How I met Billy Moyer, I have heard of him, you know, just like everybody else. But I was at Eldora for the World 100, and I didn't make the race. And his good friend was Al Robbins, and he was an engine builder, and he needed a fitting. And Al knew I had a bunch of fittings, and I had a fitting that they needed. And I give it to Al, and he says, "What do you want for it?" I said, "Well, if he wins the World 100, tell him to come thank me." He won the World 100, and he personally come down and thanked me, and that's how we become good friends.
That's cool.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying with all the racing. I don't know how to say it. How everybody can judge together. Everybody just, you know. Hold on a second. Let me ask you this before we bounce around a lot too.
That's
Just so
all
you know.
A lot of people don't know this. The very first televised ESPN sprint car race, I think you went to Victory Lane in the street stock, didn't you?
Yeah, that was at Salem.
Yeah.
You know, they said they wasn't going to televise us, but we put on such a good show that they aired it. They didn't tell us they was going to air it. They just surprised us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just lucky enough to win that race.
That was in the Chevelle, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was in Chevelle.
That Chevelle was fast.
Yeah.
It was very fast.
I don't know what made me think of that right off the top of my head. I'm sitting here thinking, like, hold on a second. Yeah.
But years ago, before I started racing, my dad raced with Bob Pierce and, you know, all the older guys, you know. We went to Glasgow, and this is when money's tight. Nobody had no money. And the car council was down at that time. I don't remember what year. It had to be late 80s,
Yeah, so
early
that had to be
90s.
late 80s, because about 93, 94, everything was up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And was down there racing, and Bob Pierce crashed, and they stopped the race. Everybody gathered their parts up. This guy had this A-frame, this guy had this ball joint, and we all put his car together. And I don't remember who won, but that's what kind of racing was. You know, it was a close-knit family.
Yeah, well, that's what I tell people all the time. Like, you still have that on the dirt side. It's not as loving as it once was. You still have that, but on the pavement side, it's like, I don't care. I'm good. That guy broke good. We don't got to compete with him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Out of all the racing, I love dirt racing. It's where I grew up in. I miss the people more than anything because they was down to earth.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder on asphalt, you know. I guess people's just been took advantage of up here. It's the only way I can think of it, you know.
Yeah.
I've always tried to help everybody.
Well, that's
Well, I think a lot of times too, what makes a little bit of difference on that, just my opinion, is like you work all week to go race just Saturday night in an asphalt car. With a dirt car, you can run, like you said, you can run Friday, Saturday, Sunday if you want to. You can find a place to run. So if the guy goes out crashes out on Friday night, it's not the end of the world. He puts his car back in the next morning, go races Saturday night. I mean,
and you're probably right.
I think it makes a lot of difference in
I think
the way
the longest
people's
I've raced
attitudes
was
are.
7 days, and it was during the Summer Nationals, and it was
It
was hard, but we did it. Me
Yeah.
and whenever the guys show up, it would help me. But I only had 1 or 2 guys, and that was it. And we went racing everywhere.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the way it is. Like, people see dirt late model racing now. They're like, oh, they have multi-million-dollar sponsorships. Car owners, this. They got all the crew. Usually it's one guy, the driver, and if somebody will show up and grind tires, that was good.
Yeah.
It's not the perception that everybody thinks it is.
Yeah, there's usually 2 guys, two crew guys at the most on most of them guys' cars now, even still.
Well, look at Dennis Earp and at him and that woman.
Yeah.
And it's always been, now every now and then he might have extra help, but generally it's them too.
Yeah.
And what's so cool about that is, she lived down the street from me, and when he was building his first street stock car, she went down there. She's like, "What is this?" And everybody thought they dated. They never dated or anything. So she just started helping me because she lived in the neighborhood.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was
that's
pretty cool.
It's crazy how the racing world, all comes back together.
Yeah.
And speaking of pretty cool, one thing, your family has been involved in racing, but I love when your mom goes to the racetrack. I seen you guys at Brownstown maybe last year or the year before, and your mom's sitting up in the bleachers and I think she was cheering for Mike Marlar. I'm pretty sure it was, because she's like, "Give him hell, Mikey, go!" And how cool is it that your whole family was involved? Because racing is hard on a family.
Yes, it was great. Without Mom, she's the one that fed you, took care of you, and teach you, how to be respectful to people, and it was fun having a family.
Yeah, because we've all been on record and talked about how hard it is, how tough it is on a family, even a family that enjoys it.
Yeah,
it's financially tough. The hours being on the road, and especially dirt racing. My wife.
Traveling.
My wife, she asked me this, where are we going this weekend? Because she knows we're going to go somewhere. So, it's tough.
That's like dirt racing. A lot of guys like in our area that just run Sports Drum or Salem don't understand that you not only have the car to keep going, you got to keep the truck going, you got to keep the wheel bearings packed on the trailers.
Yes.
There's like so much more other than just the race car that you have to do.
Well, I like Calvert City, and from here it's 200 miles. That's a hard drive, 200 miles to get there.
Yeah.
Well, that's an easy drive. Like Eldora's a hard drive from here because 100 of those miles are all 2-lane. Calvert City's Leasall Expressway.
Right. Well, but you ain't got many hills going to Eldora as you do going to Calvert City.
Well, yeah, that's true. Let me ask you this: with your dad and you owning the cars, the drivers that you guys had drive for you, I'm talking Johnny Wheeler,
Aaron Haddon.
And now you got, Chucky Barnes, and when you decided you was going to go run figure eight, you had, Chris Harmon drove for you. So, how do you guys align? Do you think Mark Tunney drove for you for a while?
Yes.
Do you say, okay, that's the best talent, I'm going to get them, or how does that work?
Actually, my dad's who talked to all of them, and he says, if you're going to beat the best, you got to join them. Join the best. So he'd get them to drive. But my dad is who hooked up the Chris Harmon deal and the Mark Tunney deal, and he's the one that actually got Chucky the first time.
Was he?
Yes.
Oh yeah, because Chucky ran the street stock at the Drone or the Sport.
Yes, but that was just a one race deal.
Yeah.
But Will Kimmel was driving for me at that time, and he couldn't get back from Iowa or Kansas, and we was running that Circle Track magazine.
Okay, yeah.
And I wanted to win the points, and we was going to Whitesville, and my dad said, "Well, I'll get Chucky to do it." I knew Chucky, but not real well.
Yeah.
And they come down, we tested, and it was match made in heaven.
Yeah, and it still is to this day, huh?
Yes. We got hooked up full time in 2017.
And as we rode up in here, Chucky's crawling around on the garage floor on his hands and knees.
Yeah.
Scratching his head.
Yeah, damn.
He's just trying to figure out how to make his car faster.
Yeah. On a Wednesday night.
On a Wednesday night. Yeah. A lot of people don't know this. I'm going to let you tell them this. How good of a race car driver was Johnny Wheeler?
He was unreal. He had unhidden talent that he didn't think he was as good as he was, but he was a real good driver.
Yeah.
good-hearted person. You know, he lived for a race car. I mean, that's all he wanted to do is race. Everywhere he could race, he would want to race.
Yeah, I know. I remember because I was younger and watching Johnny Wheeler at Glasgow and then Bardstown and we're not even talking about if you get over to Ponderosa and Lake Carmelo area, but you watch Johnny Wheeler, he would do stuff with the race car that a lot of guys couldn't do because you guys had really good equipment, but you guys didn't have the national touring equipment.
Right.
And, you know, I've seen guys like Moyer and Bloomquist come over and check and see what right rear tire Johnny Wheeler had on before they went out on the track on the A main at Bardstown. So,
it was a highlight me at Calvert City when I beat Bloomer at night. He come over was checking my tires out.
Yeah.
That made me feel pretty good.
Yeah.
As I said, because I remember, you know, I'm like, man, Johnny Wheeler can flat drive a race car. Like
he was unreal.
Because a lot of people, and another guy that, you know, and I'm going to say this, because a lot of people, when you drive for somebody, you know, it usually ends bad somewhere. Somebody gets their feelings hurt. But I remember when you and Scott James got together, I was like, this could be potent because Scotty don't care to speak his mind, and Scott James don't care to lay on somebody when he gets on the racetrack.
Yeah.
So
he was a good driver too. He was probably as close as the national traveling series as we could get, but he done real well in our equipment.
Yeah.
You guys had Rockets. You guys had Raverns.
Yes.
Was that it? Did you ever have any GRT or anything?
No, we never had a GRT. My dad had
About Masterbuilt.
No, never had a Masterbuilt. But when American Made was Fred King in Indianapolis, started building dirt cars, Dad had a brand new one, and Rayburn wouldn't stand for it, so he made Dad sell it and built a Rayburn.
Well, see, CJ's like, oh, hell no. No, that's not the deal we had. Just come on up here. I'm going to get out some watermelon. We're going to talk. And
I don't know what was said between him and Dad, you know, but I never was in that part of the conversation, but I just built the cars.
Yeah.
When you transition from driver to, okay, I'm gonna work for my dad on these cars to I'm going to be a car owner, how hard was that for you?
It wasn't too bad. I come to the point where I couldn't afford to run the dirt like it needed to be, you know, to buy the tires and the motors. It just got real expensive. I said, well, I want to build a street stock, and I wanted to run the Frank Kimmel series. You know, you get to run Rockingham, Bristol.
Yeah.
Well, when I got the car built, Frank Kimmel series went away. I was like, well, poop. So I said, well, I'll try Salem again. Well, Salem taught me that I was way out of shape for that track. So I started looking for a driver.
So it was easy. You're like,
You could have just started working out.
Well, I could have.
That ain't no different.
When you work all day long,
Look, that's why I quit too.
I'm a plus size guy. So.
One thing, bouncing back to your mom, how many gallons of tuna fish you think she's made over the years?
Oh.
Because a lot of people don't know this. That, you know, that's your race day special, and that's the best tuna fish I've ever eaten in my life.
I don't really eat tuna fish other than hers, you know, because nobody's compares to hers. And Chucky's the pickiest person to ever eat anything.
Well, me Flash.
Yeah, I'm kind of close probably.
Have you ever ate tuna fish?
I can't stand tuna fish.
I bet you would like my mom. Because that's what Chucky said. But even Chuck Sr., he's picky.
Yeah.
And now he loves it. He eats it. You know, I don't know how it started. We went to Whitesville and we won the race, one of them races down there, and they give a cake to us and a trophy. I guess this is how the tuna fish started. Well, when you leave Whitesville, there's nothing open. You know, it's 3 in the morning, there's nothing open.
That's still that way, I'm sure.
Well, we tore his cake up with our bare hand. We didn't have no silverware, no plates. We just ate it. And my mom said, well, I'll make sure y'all have food with it. And I think that's how the tuna fish started.
I'm just saying, because it's the best tuna fish I've ever eaten in my life.
Well, we went to Bristol one of the years. I think it was the second year. All of Bristol concession stand was out of food. Well, we're all down there. We're all hungry. Well, I brought this tuna fish out, and I said, "Y'all want tuna fish?" Man, I ain't never seen so many people in all my life who showed up and eat this tuna fish, and it's got famous.
Yeah.
So, Kurt got to race with his dad a ton. I got to race with my dad a handful of times.
Yeah.
How many times did you get to race with your dad?
2 times. once at Glasgow and once at Brownstown. And it was pretty amazing, really. We didn't have the success we wanted. My dad took me out my first time. I'm running fourth in Glasgow, and he dumped me.
Well, would you expect anything else?
No, he said I was slow. I said, well, Dad, I'm running fourth. He said, if I caught you, because he started to tail.
Yeah.
And he come to the front. I mean, and he hit me a ton. And it's his car, so it didn't really matter. I was mad, but I really cherish the moments now. And then the next week or two, we went to Brownstown, and he qualified sixth, and I set fast time, and I said, well, I'm going to get even with him. Well, my motor broke. I couldn't get even with him.
Couldn't get it even any. Well, I'll tell you one thing. You said your motor broke. Scotty may be the most hardest working guy in all the pits as far as, okay, I built this engine. I don't really like it. A lot of guys are like, well, we're just going to run until it quits. He's like, no, I'm going to tear it apart this week, and we're going to find something else that works. Now that you've been doing this for 50 years?
Oh, at least. I think I've been going to the track since I was 12. I'll be 56 at the end of this month.
So, we'll say 50 years. You've been doing this for 50 years. Do you get to the point where you're just like, oh my God, I got to go out there? Or is it still fun?
No, it's still fun. I mean, what's fun is like we built a car, we put it together, and you go out and see it either win or run competitive. That's what I like.
Yeah.
I was like, I did that. I'm a part of it.
Yeah, that's like we used to build our own cars. We've never had anybody build us a race car. We've always built our own, and that was my favorite day, is to go out on practice day with a new car, and actually be faster than what I had last year.
Yeah. Yes, and it's just learning the cars. The shocks, the springs, the geometry of the front end. The row centers.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand all that, and we figured it out, and we just play with it until we get the car where it's happy.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying, because with Scotty, he does not. I mean, he does not care to put in the work. And on the same token, if somebody comes in and waxes his ass, he don't bitch about that either. He's just like, yeah, we got some work to do.
Yes.
So
we got to catch up.
Yes, I've never went to an official and complained about another competitor. We go home, we put in our work, we sharpen our pencil.
But when you go to the paved track now, when you pull in, I know you have a good time. But when that car pulls on the racetrack, do you ever just get the itch like, man, I'd like to get in it one more time?
Every now and then, a buddy's mine asked me to take his car out, like a Crown Vic or something, and that's how I feel my urge. Just run his car 5 laps, and I'm good.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're like me now. You're so out of shape. You couldn't run 6. You could only run 5.
It's like me. I ran 2 times last year, and that was good for the year.
Yeah.
Just a couple of years ago, I took a buddy of mine, Chuck Freeman's Crown Vic up there, and I run a race, and I think I run 6th, and I had a blast.
Yeah.
And do I want to build one? No.
Yeah.
No, this car is enough for me. I don't have time for any more other cars.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How odd is it to just have one car in the shop?
Very odd. Very odd.
Because for years, you had 2 late models. You had a street stock, a modified. I mean, you had an outlaw. I mean, you had 3 cars in the garage, 1 outside. I mean, how odd is it to say, okay, I got this one car I got to work on?
Yeah, it's pretty odd. Actually, 2 weeks. Well, it wasn't even 2 weeks ago. I had a car here, and I set it up for a guy.
Yeah.
And he blowed up at Salem, but he said he liked it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not supposed to work on them, they don't.
Yeah. Well, it's the first ARCA car I ever worked on. It was an ARCA style car, one of the 602s.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know nothing about it. And Frank Kimmel actually helped me a little bit. And he said it felt good.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's good. Speaking of ARCA style cars, do you kind of regret not getting into the pavement world and maybe trying to do that more? Or was it just, I had so much fun doing dirt, I just did it till I couldn't do it no more?
No, I like the dirt. The people was so much friendlier.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun,
I can't tell you, Scotty about got me beat up one time.
I did?
Yeah, he don't even know this. But when I first started racing, I ran into Scotty at Huey's. And I was going to race dirt, and I got my first modified. And Scotty and Kerry Tollbridge kind of together on this deal. Scotty's like, I mean, if you don't know what they're doing, just, look. I'm like, okay. Well, I get to the racetrack, and you said Victor Lee just lettered your car. Victor Lee was beating everybody's ass. And so I'm in there talking to Kerry, and I said, hey, I wish I knew what he was doing. He said, Kerry, where's this car? Car, they're measuring. So I'm like, hell, okay. Victor grabbed me by my feet. He said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm measuring your bar links. He goes, the hell? And I said, well, Kerry said I could. He goes, Kerry don't own this damn car. I said, oh shit, I don't know. I was new to her. I don't know.
Yeah.
I said, man, if you're worried about me, Victor, you got bigger problems to fry anyways.
That's
yeah,
kind of fun.
yeah, Scotty got me beat up one time, didn't even know it. I mean, if you wonder what they're doing, just go over and look.
Well, in dirt, the hell, that probably all you had to do is ask them. They probably would have told you.
Well, yeah, knowing what I know now, I would have said, hey, Victor, do you mind if I crawl in there and measure your right rear bar?
Here, you need a tape measure?
Yeah, and Victor would have told me, because you know what's funny is the right rear is still 19 3/4 on every dirt car in America. It doesn't make a difference. It's been that way since '85. Everybody's like, I wonder what Longhorn's doing. And I promise you the right rear is 19 3/4. I wonder what Maxer was that. It's 19 3/4. One thing, when you said you had a good relationship with CJ Rayburn, was CJ always, it's going to be my way or no way, or did he work with you guys like when you come to him with different ideas?
Oh no, it was his way or no way. And I remember when he built the low scrub front end cars, it was a purple spindle. It had 7-inch offset wheels. And I got in my head that wasn't the right thing to do. So me and Dwayne Ragland go up there, and I'm in his kitchen, and Rayburn goes, what are you doing here? I said, well, I want to get some spindles and change my front end around. And he started ripping my butt. I mean, he was chewing my ass. I mean, hard. And I'm very hot-headed.
Well, yeah, I know that.
Oh, no, I'm a lot calmer now. And I told Rayburn, I said, Rayburn, one more ass chewing like that, I said, me and you ain't going to be friends no more. And he just stopped at that point. It was choicer words than that, but I don't want to say it here. But Rayburn taught me a lot, he really did. He taught me to just pay attention to your car and just work on it. And he taught me a lot.
Yeah.
When we went to, how I got hooked on Salem is they had dirt cars come up there. And we went up there and raced with Dad's dirt car, and I fell in love with Salem ever since. And when I raced up there, man, I had to fight every single night of racing up there. Yeah. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, in dirt, you don't have that. You don't have that.
Well, and part of that reason is, if me and you are racing Salem every week and we got the top 2 cars, we're going to be racing together.
Yes.
If you go to Bardstown this week and, I go to Brownstown, so if we got into it last week, by the time we get back together, it's over because
it's over.
You're pissed off at somebody else, and I'm already mad at somebody else.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I try to explain to people that, my dad taught me that when I first started racing. I come in at Louisville Speedway, and I was like, that son of a bitch got me again. My dad said, he's going to get you. I'm like, what? He goes, you're not fast enough to race with the leaders. You're racing with a guy that's all over the place. You're going to run into each other. Yep. He's like, you don't know what you're doing? And obviously he don't. I'm like, damn, I never thought of it that way.
You're right.
Yeah.
And you had to get better to get away from him, to get up there to the faster cars that knew how to drive.
Yeah.
When you go to dirt now, you go to a dirt race, because I know you probably go to about 10, 15 a year. When you go to a dirt race now, do you walk in, let's get a dirt car, or is it just, man, it's so outpriced, I can't do it now?
Well, I'd like to, but man, it's changed so much. The cars has got too expensive. The motors, they say now a wide bore motor's what, 50, 60,000?
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's ludicrous.
Yeah.
But I don't see how you need that much horsepower, but they're running them. They're hooking them up.
They're getting them hooked up.
Yeah. Because you got $12,000 shocks on them. It's hooking them up. So.
And that's another thing. That's crazy too. Yeah. I don't know how they can afford to do that.
Yeah.
Every week.
Yeah.
2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But the urge isn't there, though. I mean, it's not.
No, the urge is there. I'd love to have a dirt car, but boy, I don't miss grooving tires.
No.
I don't miss buffing tires. I don't miss washing all the mud off the car. And the dust. The dust is horrid.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because, I never mind doing tires, so to speak. I didn't mind the washing them, the sipe. I didn't mind that. The part that I didn't particularly care for was after you ran the second night and the third night, if you run just one time, the car, it's easy to get clean. But night number 2, because everybody's got a leak here or there, you got mud, transmission fluid, mud. Yeah. You can never get it clean.
No.
You know, Chris Harmon's son, Ben, I tell Ben and Kevin all the time, you guys do a really, really impressive job to keep this race car spotless. Yes. They do a phenomenal. Now, as far as knowing what to do to the car, they're still learning that. But you don't got to worry about crawling underneath the car and getting dirty when you're working on something.
Yes, they've done a phenomenal job. For no more time that boy's been in a car, he's really impressive.
Oh,
yeah, that's a.
He just won a race the other night with the biggest guys in the country there. So,
that's impressive.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's tough. That's a tough track to tame.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's totally off subject, but that's what I was telling Chris, and Chris was like, "Yeah, well, you know, Stricker broke." I said, "It doesn't matter if Stricker broke. Stricker was starting 8 spots behind you anyways. You already did your job.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?"
Yes.
So, talent-wise, who do you think has the most talent in this area? I know it's easy for you to say Chucky, but I'm talking about just racing in general, because you've got a pretty good eye for talent. Who do you think, when you watch and you're just like, man, that guy, I think if you put him in any style car, he can be successful?
Oh boy, I'm gonna say Chris Harmon was good. Danny Smith's probably the most versatile driver out there. Raymond Johnson's another one. You know, he can wheel a figure 8 car. Chucky, naturally, he is unreal behind the wheel, and his dad.
Yeah.
His dad has won, I don't know, 60 some races at Salem. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's real impressive. And the reason why I say that is because, like, in our area, we have a lot of racing talent. We have a lot of younger kids. Well, they're not young now, but they were kids. Let's say that that go 3 or 4 different ways.
Yes.
And when Louisville Speedway was here, they were all racing there. So the talent kind of got split up a little bit. But I'll go bar none, especially if you take Indiana and Kentucky. I would put our guys against anybody in the country.
Oh, yeah. Well, look at the little town of Campbellsville. Look how many good racers are out of that little town.
Yeah, we try to drink water every time we're down.
Every time we stop in the creek,
it's unreal.
Get a handful.
I mean, there's a bunch of good drivers, and I'm fortunate to have had a couple of them out of there.
Yeah, well, that's what I say, because street stock wise, on the pavement street stock world, the best pavement street stock racers in the country are from our area.
Yes.
When I say our area, we'll go to Owens. I'm talking about Kentucky, Indiana.
Yes.
Oklahoma modified drivers, a couple of the best, Cole Followay and Tyler Nicely, right here in our area.
Yes.
And you want to bounce up to Indiana, I mean, you got Ryan Thomas, and I mean, just in our Joey Kramer. I mean,
he drove my dad's late model a few times.
Did he?
Yeah.
We had Rocket Man on about a month ago.
Did you?
Yeah. So
he's a good dude.
Yeah, hands down. If there is a top available on the racetrack, I know a lot of people say Bobby Pierce, but I go back way before then. If there's a top on the racetrack, give me Joey Kramer every night of the week, and I'll we might have to work on the shit, but it's gonna go up front. Yeah.
Jimmy Owens back in the day was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Owens.
Yes. Well, Jimmy Owens.
Yeah.
Late model.
I seen Jimmy Owens race his first ever super late model race at Green Valley Speedway, the Bama Bash. It was after, I think, his 9th UMP modified championship or whatever. I seen him race his first ever super late model race, and he actually sat on the pole for the Bama Bash, $10,000 to win, but he learned a valuable lesson. I think they went soft on the tires, or he just cranked it too much, because Dwayne Hummel and Scott Bloomquist drove right around him.
Boy, that was a good driver too, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Hummel.
Dwayne Hummel was a unfortunate accident.
He might have made Scott Bloomquist a run for his money.
Unfortunate accident.
Yes.
Took Dwayne. Didn't take him from us, but took him from us from the racing world.
Yes.
He was the guy
He
that
was very talented.
a lot of people have no idea how good Dwayne Hummel was.
And another Tennessee racer who was very good was Scott Sexton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Superman.
Yep.
Yes, he was unreal.
Yeah, Superman Scott, especially at
I got to watch him at Dixie.
yeah.
Not Dixie. Yeah, Woodstock, Georgia.
Yeah, Dixie.
Dixie.
Scott Sexton is a guy that when you rode into Tazewell, you was running for second.
Yes.
Yeah.
It didn't matter who you was.
First time I ever seen Tazewell. I never got to race that track. Me and Doodle drove down there to watch a race, and Scott Sexton run off and hid from him.
Yeah.
He
was unreal.
I mean, there for a while, the UDTRA and the national guys would not come to Tazewell because of Scott Sexton.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, no, we're not going there. Those guys are like, no, we're not messing with that.
He was unreal.
That track is unreal.
Yeah.
Yes.
For people that ain't been there, if you've never been to Tazewell, you need to make a trip.
Well, I wanted to drive it, but
Yeah.
I guess that's a fairy tale now.
Not exactly. I mean, they run street stocks there. We gotta tell Chucky.
It goes back to that. I don't want to wash that car again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chucky, you'd be like, once we pull up in there, Chucky would be like, I don't know. I don't want to, we may have to put a clip or something on this. Let's not work that hard.
Chucky drove my dad's dirt car once at Lake Cumberland.
Did he?
Yes, him and
But did he race it or was it like a test
no,
session?
it was a race.
Okay.
He was going to Bardstown, and we got rained out at Bardstown, so we went to Lake Cumberland, and it was a mud track,
Yeah.
So they got rained out, and we went down there for the Sunday race during the day, and he started in the back, and I think he runs sixth from
Yeah.
the tail.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Daryl something up in Indiana, he used to run modifieds, drove my car. Or Chucky drove mine. I don't remember which one's which, but one runs 6, one runs 7.
Okay. Did Chucky never have the itch to go to dirt racing?
No.
He likes practicing too much for dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Chucky pulled up to the dirt track, he'd be like, all right, when are we going to practice? We're like, right before you race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
While you're qualifying.
He went up to Florence with Morris, something Morris Electric guy. I don't know his first name.
Yeah.
And he says, they don't get no practice. I said, nope.
No, you just figure it out.
Yeah.
That's let me ask you this. With you being in transition to the pavement world, how do you feel about all the practice and testing? Because I'm gonna let you answer it, then I'll tell you what I think about it. But what do you think about the pavement format?
They got way too much practice for me, coming from the dirt world, but I understand you need it because the track changes and you're always searching for bite and speed through the corner. I believe it would save a ton of money if they would limit it.
Well, here I'm going to go even more than that. I'm going to double down on saving a ton of money, but I'm also going to double down. It'll make the racing better if all these cars aren't hooked up.
Yeah.
If everybody's not driving flat-footed through the track, and it would put it back in the driver's hands, and not be, we can't compete with Scotty because they got the best equipment, or we can't compete with Kimball's because I think in the pavement world, what's hurting pavement racing the most is you need 3 sets of tires when you go to the racetrack, at least 2. You need at least a practice set, at least a race set. I mean, the financial burden of pavement racing, but the practice, it's got to be. I mean, I understand why tracks, you want to release the racetrack out because you make money, I get it. But there's got to be a give and take to help save pavement racing.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but to go back to the 2 sets of tires, I have to say Chucky don't practice on new tires. He will not put tires on.
That's his dad. That's his dad coming out of it.
Well, he's just very, very respectful for the dollar. You know, I guess he knew where it's come from.
Yeah.
And he don't waste money.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to fix a track. I don't know how to save money. Everybody thinks I have the best equipment. I don't have the best equipment. It's the neatest equipment because I work on it hard so I don't have to work on it at the track.
Yeah.
All right.
I get to work in an air-conditioned garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice-ass garage, too.
Yeah.
The only thing I would do, I would move the TV to the center.
Well,
but the garage doors, I get it. Because like if I was working out here tonight, we'd have dirt vision on, and I'd be watching Millbridge, and I would not get nothing done with the car on the left bay and the TV on the right side.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time that TV was turned on. I don't listen to a radio, and I don't really watch the TV out here because it distracts me.
Yeah, see, that's what my dad's exact opposite. The TV, he goes out to the garage and watches TV, and the car distracts him.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna be out here sitting in my barber chair, and then I may work on my street rod tonight. Maybe. Have you ever got to the point where you thought, this racing stuff, I'm gonna hang it up and build me a badass street rod or something, or would that not do it for you?
No, I don't know. I like a lot looking at the street rods, but I don't think it would do that urge that I'm looking for. It's something when you build a car and you send it out there and it wins, or fast time or whatever, it's competitive. Man, that's my ultimate high.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unreal.
Let me ask you this, because there's a misconception that you and Murray at B&R Speed Shop, everybody doesn't get what Scotty gets type thing. How does the relationship with you and Murray work? Because I know you go up there and you help Murray and Murray helps you, but that comes back to the dirt racing world where everybody works together. How nice is it to have an engine builder here in town where you can use his equipment?
Oh, I love it. Me and Murray is real good friends. He helps me tremendously. And I go up there and help him build motors. When Chris Harmon was driving for my dad, and he had that new motor from somewhere in Flemingsburg, and then Chris was going to win the 3-hour, and the motor blowed up. And that's what made me start paying attention to motors, because there was questionable stuff in that. So I went to Murray, and Murray been with me ever since. And he bends over backwards for me, and I would do the same for him.
That's what I said, because Murray...
But if anybody wants the same motor I got, all they have to do is tell Murray to build it.
He can build the exact same
He'll
thing.
build the same thing. If he can find the cylinder heads I got, and I won't ever let nobody know where I got them from.
Well, we're not telling nobody. Yeah. Some of us may know, but we're not telling nobody. Let me ask you this: as far as racing, where do you see racing going in the next 5 to 10 years? In not just your world, but in the dirt world as well, because streaming has got involved and the money is growing and growing. Where do you see where racing is going from a guy that's been doing it for 50 years?
If they don't get the young people in our sport, I think it's going to die. You don't see kids at the track like you used to when I went to racing. There was kids racing behind the bleachers with little Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
You don't see it no more. And I guess I'm going to blame that on computers, iPhones, and stuff like that. That's what they want to do.
Well, it's funny you said that, because when we interviewed Mike Gibson, I told Mike, I said, I was one of the people that said, you know what, I don't care if this place closes. It's not my cup of tea. I love dirt racing. When I left here, I left the Sportstrom. But a few years ago, we got rained out somewhere, so Tanya's, because my wife thinks about family. She goes, you haven't seen your little brother race in a couple of years, and we got time to swing by. Let's stop by the Sportstrom. So I'm like, okay. So we walk in, and I see the kids playing behind the bleachers, and they've got cups set up, and they're racing figure eight around the cups and stuff. And we got into the bleachers, and we sat down, and I was just sitting there, and my wife's like, you okay? And I was like, no, not really. She's like, well, I said, I need to go tell Mike that I appreciate him putting up with all the bullshit that he has, because I was the guy that said, I don't care if this place closed down, but when I look down there, I see the kids doing the same shit I did when I was a kid. And if this place closed down, we'd lose more kids.
Yes.
And they got the go-kart stuff that I know people say, well, it needs to be policed better, this, that. Yeah, but guess what? There is an option. Everybody thinks everything can be better.
I'm sure it can if you work hard at it, but in order to make it better, people need to know how to talk better. I'm not for talking very well, because I get short-tempered. But if people would learn how to communicate better, I believe racing would be better in a whole.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because racing right now, it's money-wise, as far as what the races are paying on the dirt world. I mean, you guys got to race for $50,000 twice a year.
Yes.
They do it once a month now.
Yes.
And it's not just the super late models. It's crate late models, 602 late models, modified, sport mods, Hornets, street style. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, the sport is progressing, but I have a feeling that we may be losing some along the way. So when the progression stops, I'm afraid we're going to be like NASCAR.
Yeah.
We got more money than we ever have, but now we don't have a sport.
Yeah.
We're going to have to figure out something, you know, like in my division, tires and fuel is your biggest expense. You know, we have to have new tires, 4 new tires when you hit the track to be competitive. There's $740 a set of tires. So
Yeah.
in order to go to Salem for a weekend race, it's going to cost you $1,200 just
Right.
to walk in.
And the race pays $1,000 to win.
Yeah, well, I really don't know what it pays. You know,
Yeah.
I don't ever really look at it, so I don't want to say
Yeah.
a number and then I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah, and I get that. But
I'm not knocking.
no,
nobody,
no,
but-
I totally
But
understand
they
that.
can only pay so much, and I understand that. You know, maybe we need to try to figure out how to get better corporate sponsors or something to help us. But
Right.
the dirt's got to figure it out. They've got major money behind them, and it's working. Their stands are packed
Well,
every race.
I'll tell you part of the reason, and this is about the way I feel. I could be totally wrong on this, but when you go to a dirt race and you look on the racetrack, there's action going on from start to finish. You go to the paved race, you know, you guys run longer races, so there's a lot more saving than racing. So there's not as much action just from a fan's point of view. And I think with streaming now, a lot of people that like NASCAR didn't even know the dirt world exists. And now you got guys like Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, or Chase Briscoe. They're racing all these different dirt races, and people are being drawn to that, and they're like, you know, this don't do it for me no more. This here's fun.
Oh yeah, it ain't nothing like slinging 900 to 1,000 horsepower in a corner as hard as you can. I mean, it's a rush.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I don't know. I really don't know what the answer is, honestly.
I'm not a promoter. I don't know how to promote nothing, but we got to figure out how to save our sport, or it's gone.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing too, you're racing at Salem, and when we had Artie on, we talked about this. You know, you guys used to get 25 cars to 30 every week. Now you're to 18 to 20.
Yes.
And a lot of people say that, well, we got to do something to make the cars cheaper. I agree with that, but you know, my argument to that was, you guys raced 8 to 10 races a year. Now you're racing 16. It costs 3 times as much to go race.
Right. Yeah.
You're right. I don't
Yeah.
know how many races. Chucky could tell you how many races we run last year. I just let him pick out which race he wants to run, you know. But I agree with that. The more races, it costs more money, you know.
Yeah. And so we run, let's just say you guys run 10 races this year.
Yes.
If you have a problem, you're running basically twice a month, once every 3 weeks. If you get in a wall, need to put a frame horn or something on it, you can do that. Okay? But if you got a race every other week, for your division, you can't do that.
No,
and
it'd be
once
impossible.
And once a guy misses 1 week, okay, it's easy to miss the second week. Once his wife says, "Hey, it was fun going to the lake this weekend."
Yeah.
Well, then now you're racing. All right, I'm gonna run 3 times a year. So, you know, it's a juggling act. Do you guys race too much? I know that sounds crazy to say because you guys have 16 races scheduled. You're like, well, hell no, the dirt guys race 70.
Yeah.
But on the same token, you know, you guys are running the big half-mile track where, you know, 20 races maybe just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
What about? Let me ask you a question too. I mean, we were just talking about your engine builder, so I don't know if you're going to go for this or not. What about if they put them like on a 602 or 604 that was from the GM store, not from Hendren, not from somewhere like that?
Well, I would be good for that, but
Yeah, but I mean, everybody's
would you
already got
police it?
big motors though.
how would you police it though?
Yeah, I know.
If you don't police it, like it gets out of hand.
Yeah, well, yeah, everything. Well, they already have
I
that
have
now.
to say, CRA, you know, if you run a 602 or a 604, it has to be the way it comes from GM.
Yeah.
You can't take it to Travis Kearns, or we're going to
I
get
tell you how you police it. You get with the guys from IMCA.
Yeah, you get to the guys in
Find out how they do it
because they police it.
because they do it.
And I'm good with that. But
Yeah.
them motors ain't cheap no more.
No.
No, they've got out of hand. I
but you're-
bought a
but you're
602 first time we went to Dillon. And nobody believes me. I went
Yeah.
to Bachman. Jeff Harmon got me the motor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bachman Chevrolet. I paid $3,670 for this motor.
Right.
And they said, there ain't no way. I said, well, that's what I paid for it, you know.
Yeah.
Paid for it, and I was very successful with that motor.
Yeah, I think the 604s are like 6,800 now or something like that from the.
Is it? No, they're more than that.
Are they more than that now?
Yeah, I guarantee you. I bought a new 604 whenever Salem, it's been 2 years ago, I think.
I think they're close to 78 now, because they were like 72 for a while.
7,800.
Yeah, I think they're close to 78.
And I sold it to somebody up north for 7,400. Yeah, I run it one race or two races, and I sold it to him because he needed one, and that was a time where you couldn't get none.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that would eliminate the fuel problem. Just make everybody check the fuel, just like they do go-karts, you know, or whatever. You know, you could just run.
But you have to have more tech people then.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly.
you got to make sure people.
So I said you'd have to have a tech. Some way to take it.
I'm all good for that.
Yeah.
But the motor's not where it's at.
Oh no,
the shocks is what's expensive.
Well, no, actually,
you got
the
to get
shocks
the car
that I've been running is the box stock shocks, welded bearing, the WB shock, because they get 75-pound weight break.
Scotty, I'll tell you one thing. Scotty is a weight breaking fool.
Yeah, if they give me an inch, I'm gonna take it.
Well, if they give Scotty an inch, he's gonna take 4 inches.
That's the gray area again.
Well, I mean, is it really the gray area? Because I mean,
if I think about it, my competitor's thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just a dumb old diesel mechanic from Louisville.
Derby City diesel guy. He's just trying to figure it out, man.
Yes, that's it. I mean, I'm very lucky to who I've got in my corner, you know, like Murray Beard, Derby City, Ferris Plumbing, you know, all of them guys, Bryant, United. Without them, I couldn't do it, you know, but they trust us enough to support them.
Of all the different style racetracks you've raced at, what is your favorite style racetrack when you just racing dirt?
Calvert City, Eldora.
So you like the bigger tracks.
And Glasgow, I would say.
The old Glasgow.
Yeah.
The old Glasgow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun. Eldora was probably that in West Virginia, Parkersburg.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Always wide open. I mean, there's only a few tracks you can hang it wide open.
Well, see, that's because Scotty always had the bigger motor. See, I didn't like those big tracks. I mean, I like Glasgow, but I was like, I need a little smaller track. I don't have that engine.
I'll tell this story. I went to Eldora. I don't remember what year it was. It was around 98, 99. Could be 97. I don't know. My motor, it was a good motor, 23-degree Cornet. Had 3,500 laps on it. That's unheard of in the dirt world.
Oh, yeah.
But it's my dad's hand-me-downs, which was good ones. You know, I'm not complaining. I went up there. There was 248 cars qualified for the World 100. Well, I draw 232 to qualify first round. I was like, really, guys? Come on. So I watched all these cars, and I done told myself, I says, I don't care if I go through the wall. I said, I'm not lifting. I put it to the floor, and when I qualified the first round, I went fourth quick, going out almost dead last.
Yeah.
And Billy Moore and all of them come over and said, where did you get your tires? I said, truck.
Yeah.
Truck.
Yeah, I got them from the truck, man.
Yeah.
Look, I said we were almost done. We may not be. Let me ask you this. Tires. In the pavement world, I mean, I know it's a tire game in the dirt world, but is there as much tire game goes on as people make it out to be? This guy's cheating on tires. They're doing this. Or is it...
Well, Salem, they've been checking the tires. You know, I don't know what they did this past weekend. I have no idea. I wasn't.
You didn't get to
we
the tech
wasn't
line.
even close to going to the tech line.
Yeah,
We was way in the back. So generally, they take samples of the tires and send them off. You know, every race, and so that deters a lot of stuff.
I know there for a while in the pavement world, it was
wide open.
Yeah, it was. You know, it's crazy. I mean, I've been a part of that myself, so it was absolutely.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah,
we did
that's more work
one
than
time.
grooving and siphon.
And I think Whitesville, and I was messing with Chris Harmon. I told him I wasn't going to dope, and I doped.
Is that the time Roy Boy helped you?
Yes.
Yes. Well, you'll have good tire stuff. And Roy's helping you.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was fun.
But
I miss racing all them guys, you know, because they don't race no more. They go with their son, you know. And
yeah. Well, that's one thing I was going to ask you. Now that your core group of racers are
Gone.
doing other stuff, because Chris and I talk about this. we walked into the racetrack. It was, I can't remember, we went to the drone for something. Ben was already racing, and the first couple of years I helped them get going, and then now I do other stuff. But you know, the first couple of years I helped them get going, and we walked to the drone one night. We walked in, and besides my little brother and Royce, me and Chris were looking around, and I said, "Hey, Chris," he goes, "I don't know anybody here."
No.
He goes, "Yeah, me neither."
Yeah. It's changed over at the drone, which they're doing a good job to try to keep it cost down.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think you know,
Fords,
And they're doing good with the kids. Like, they got the go-kart racing, and they got the new
I've
future
heard
Fords.
that. I've never been, but that's admirable. You know, because we got to get kids involved.
Right, yeah.
If the kids ain't involved, the sport's done.
Yeah, exactly.
but you know, the drone, you know, for the pavement world and all the shit I've ever given the Sports Drone Speedway, I got to eat crow on this. They're doing better than 90% of them right now.
Yes, I agree.
I know they're struggling on car counts and on a couple divisions, but they're going in the right direction to try to bring them back. If the guys don't come back, I mean, they can't make that happen.
No.
I mean, they can only do what they can, and they've cut the cost down enough where it's doable. So,
Yeah, I have to say, Sports Drone's trying real hard to make everybody happy. You know, he surprised me. It's no secret that me and Mike Gibson's not seen eye to eye for years. And when my dad passed, he did something for my dad, and I really respect him for that.
yeah, well, Mike Gibson is one of those guys that I think, I don't know how to put this politically correct, so I'll just say it in my South End way. Mike Gibson is a guy that gets a lot of shit, receives a lot of shit, and could give a lot more shit than he does.
Yeah, I agree.
And he just takes it for, I won't say the betterment of the sport, because anytime you're bitching at the promoter every single night, but he takes it to let his guys vent to make sure they come back.
Only thing I have that I hope he fixes, and I haven't been over there outside of an outlaw night, is he condoned that rough driving. You know, if somebody gets on Facebook or Twitter or whatever and says, "I'm going to take this guy out," and it happened, he needs to address that.
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah, because I just never told them I was doing it. I just do it in practice.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
If you got an issue with somebody, you recommend practice. That's the way you get their
I
attention.
agree, but
Yeah.
we know that, but the new generation
Right.
don't know that.
They don't have a clue.
Right? No, they don't know how.
Yeah, that's Well, it's funny you said that because when we were talking about Royce said he was going to wreck somebody one time. He said, "I don't even know how to wreck the damn guy if I wanted to."
I think I was there that night when Royce tried to wreck somebody.
Yeah, he said.
Oh, he did it all wrong.
Yeah, he said.
I think he tore his up more.
I said, "Royce, what the hell was you doing?" And, "I don't know, Bobby. I don't know." So, is there anything you regret in racing?
No, absolutely not. I don't know how many races I've won. I've won a few, but my last dirt win, when my kids was born, they didn't get to go to the races a lot because I was gone all weekend. And the last race I won was at Ponderosa. And I went out and I set fast time. It's when Johnny Wheeler was my teammate. I set fast time and I give my youngest one the trophy. And when my oldest one says, "Well, Daddy, where's my trophy? I want one." I was like, man, he made me feel like I was dirt. You know, I just felt low. I said, "Well, son, I'm going to go win this race, this feature for you and have that trophy." And I did.
Yeah.
So I don't care if I ever do anything
Yeah.
else in racing, I got one of them both a trophy that night.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Well, and at Ponderosa, that's no place, especially back then. That was no, car counts doing it a little bit now, but back then, to win at Pond was tough.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
that
only
was-
won one there. And
Yeah.
Johnny was always very good there.
Yeah, Johnny won more than one, I would say.
Oh,
There.
yeah.
A night. He's
Yes.
won more than once a night.
Yes.
Yeah.
And another guy from that area. Let me ask you this, because you're a car owner. You pick out drivers. Why hasn't Jeff Watson had an opportunity to race for some high dollar team?
You know, I don't know. And he is very talented. That boy's probably the smartest dirt racer in that area. Most of the dirt racers in that area call Longhorn or call this guy. You know, Watson figures it out on his own.
With grain scales.
Yes, with grain scale.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched him put his car in that garage?
Oh, yeah.
He's got a winch on the back wall and he pulls it up the hill
Yeah.
to get it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wondered that. Like, you know,
That boy's very smart. I don't know why. it's kind of amazing that nobody took him up.
Because there's a couple of car owners. I mean, I'll just put it out there. I'll say it. I mean, you got Hatcher and Ratcliffe.
Yeah.
You got two really high-powered, highly financed race teams, and you got a guy that's won over 100 A-mains doing it himself.
Yes.
I don't know. And I'm not knocking the guys that Ratcliffe and Hatcher have. I'm actually, honestly, I'm a fan of Michael Chilton, Dalton Wilson, Jameson. I'm a fan of those guys. But I just, over the years, I wonder why he never got that opportunity.
You know, I don't know. Watson's a great guy. I mean, he's friendly. He drove for me for a little while, and he was just very pleasant to be around. I don't know why he never got that opportunity. Yeah. Maybe he has it. He just didn't want it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because I know Jeff. He's kind of a guy that does it his way, but I've never understood why they're, because the Hatcher group, they've always had like a revolving door, so to speak. So I understand with Ratcliffe and them, theirs has been more consistent. So I mean, I get that, but I never really understood why with all the car owners.
I don't know. Yeah. I can't answer it.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering because you're a car owner, you're the one that says, hey, this guy's going to drive for us.
I was going to say something too. Scotty's not only a car owner. When I first got my late model, I was looking for wheels and tires. And Scotty said, hey, come on over here, man. He said, I got a wheel for you. So he gave me almost a brand new right rear beadlock, a $300 wheel. And I'm going to let him know I really appreciate that.
Well, I mean,
because I really never got nobody to help me out much. I mean, I had a few names on my car here and there, but it was usually just us.
It's expensive to race. Very.
And I got it way over my head with the late model anyway. But I was going to run a late model before I quit. So
a whole lot easier to drive, ain't it?
Oh, yeah. It's fun. It's so much fun. I'm glad I did it. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. But.
No, a lot of people think the dirt late models are hard to drive. These street stocks are 3 times harder to drive. There's no comparison.
Well, that's what I say about the dirt modified. Like, if you go in a dirt modified, you go in any car in America.
Yeah, if you go in a modified, you can win
anything. I mean, i.e. Ricky Thornton Jr.
I tried that
Ethan Dotson.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dirt modified's a lot like us. You got a lot of horsepower, no tire.
Yeah.
So you got to learn how to thread the needle.
Yeah, they're even worse now because they got really big motors now.
Really, they got the modified engines now is what the late model engines were back when you were racing.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, before we get off here, we always ask, is there anybody you want to thank to help your race team? But I'm going to do yours a little bit different too because we're going to ask you that. But I also want to ask, over your career, is there any of the guys that's coming on that you said, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have got to this spot?
I'm gonna say my mother and father is who's got me into the racing. Paid the way for me to race, and then put me in the right situations to meet Billy Moyer. If it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't have been at Eldora. And Rayburn, going up to see Rayburn, I've met everybody through my dad. Because everybody knew Dad, everybody, and. I don't know who else it could possibly be. I mean, he is the one that paved the way for me to race.
And not only that, what was so fascinating to me about your dad was he's nonchalant, cool guy, just walk in, and if he didn't like you, he wouldn't be like, "Oh, how you doing?" He'd be like, "Oh, screw that asshole," and just walk right past it.
If he didn't like you, he didn't talk to you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I'll tell you a funny story, kind of off. Well, no, I'll just go ahead and say it on air. It's all right. So your dad said one time, he goes, he was at the clutch shop, and it's when he was getting the new car. And we'll tell that story if you want about how the new car came up. But he was getting a new car, and I said, "Who you gonna have drive it?" "I don't know." I said, "Well, you've always done a pretty good job picking drivers." And he goes, "Well, not one time. I let Scotty talk me into hiring somebody. He couldn't drive a lick." It was so funny, though. Yeah. Tell everybody out there, when your dad, right before he passed away, he decided he was going to go late model racing one more time.
Yeah, he asked me if I would put him a car together, and I said, yeah. I said, I guess, if you really want one. And the next thing I knew, my mom was asking me, did you know about this? Know about what? they was watching the race. I think it was either the Butcher or the Butterball Memorial race at Richmond, and the car come out, and it was Tyler Carpenter in the 44 Robert owned out of Louisville, Kentucky. My mom said Dad got up, got her dressed, and left.
He wouldn't even explain it.
He didn't even explain it. And nobody knew that he had this car. Nobody.
He called and got the. Scotty wasn't getting it done fast enough,
Right.
so he called and got the car done.
Yes, he got the car done. You know. Now he just talked to me about it, and and I was busy at work and everything, and he says, "Well, I guess I was too busy."
Yeah.
And this was a year later. He's got a race car.
Yeah, he's gonna go race it one more time. And Scotty's mom's like, "You got some explaining to do." He's like,
Yeah.
"I'm not explaining shit. I'm out of here."
He just got up and left. He's got 100 stories. If he set his mind to it, he was doing it.
Being that he was so tough on you, is that why you've never really pulled your kids into racing? Do they ever have, or do they just not interested?
I asked my kids if they wanted to race, and my oldest boy, he didn't. He don't care for racing or being dirty. He don't like racing tapes. My son's a mechanic, and I think he would want to, but he don't have time to work on it. I says, well, that's what makes you appreciate the car you got, is you got to be able to work on your own car. I don't want you to be one of them kids that are spoiled.
Yeah.
And my dad didn't spoil me.
Yeah.
I had to earn mine.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because I know that you want to keep the the family business going, but I didn't know if the kids were because a lot of kids now, it's tough to say, I can go hang out with my girlfriend, I can go to the movies. I got to work in the garage till midnight. No, I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not saying they're lazy. It's just they got other interests, know. And this is a lot of work. A lot of people don't realize the amount of work it takes to make a car competitive.
You're preaching to the choir here, man. Trust me, I get it.
I mean, it's unreal. It's almost every night out here in this garage. Now, I've been a little lazy this week. I was wore out from the weekend, so I didn't do nothing Monday. I had to go work Glasgow, Kentucky last night and work on a truck. So I just unloaded it today. That's the first time in my racing career that my car is sitting in the garage or the trailer for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Generally, it's the first thing that gets unloaded.
Well, it's the older you get, the easier it is to let it set a day too. Your back hurts, knees hurt.
I agree with that.
When you drop down on your knee to take that ratchet strap off and you hit that gravel, you're like, "Nah, I got you tomorrow." Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Trust me on that. There's been days I've come in from the shop and I'm like, I'm gonna get this knocked out, and then the welding tip would be messed up, or the welding, and I'd just be like, or the sheet metal break, I have to work on it. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be tomorrow.
And it does, it's easier to relax now. My dad, I always worked on his trucks, so he wouldn't let me get in the fabricating world. He said, well, just the money you pay him, you would have saved me money in the garage. So that's why.
Yeah.
Well, if it wasn't for Tony Johnson helping me, I couldn't afford this like he does. He bends over backwards for me.
Yeah.
And everybody in my racing world, they all help me, but you got to return the favor. A lot of people don't understand that no more.
Yeah, that's facts there. So who do you want to help, or who do you want to thank that helped you on this beautiful street stock car that needs a little body work on the right side now as we look at it?
That might be a job for you.
Well, I know where you live. I can come over.
I'm just going to beat it out. United Mechanical come on board a few years ago, and he's been a blessing. Scott Perkins, SP Carburetors, Pete Shuffett, Napa Care Center, Bryant Heating and Air, then Kentucky Turf Company. He's come on board, and Ferris Plumbing and B&R Speed Shop, and Turner Custom Racing Shocks.
We appreciate you coming on the show. I know you said I'm not really good at these interview things.
Yeah, I'm not.
I think I said we didn't bother you too bad.
No, this is just bullshit session.
Yeah, that's what I tell everybody, Scotty. Because your driver Chucky, he mild mannered. Not saying he doesn't. Everybody gets pissed off, but he doesn't show his ass when he gets pissed off. Let's put it that way. How hard is it for you the exact opposite. You get pissed off. I'm gonna fight him, and him.
Oh,
How hard is it to? I mean, you guys just balance each other out.
Yes. One time at Nashville, an official was getting on me pretty good, and I told him, I says, I don't know exactly how to say it.
You can say whatever you want. I can delete it. I can beep it out.
But he was going to disqualify us, and I say, after qualifying, he's saying I put something on the car. I said, no, I didn't. I didn't add nothing else to this car. It's been on there. I said, I can't help it. Y'all didn't see it through tech. I said, it's been through tech twice. I said, how many people's in tech? And he said, 4. I said, I guess all 4 of y'all are Ray Charles because y'all didn't see it.
Yeah.
And I said, if you DQ me, I said, you see all them people in the stands? I said, they're going to watch you get your ass whooped. And Chucky, he knew, I was to that point.
Yeah.
And Chucky says, I got this. And I said, are you sure? He said, absolutely. And he asked me, go back to the trailer, and he did. He handled it. He keeps me from going
to jail.
Berserk. Yeah, to jail too. Yeah.
He keeps you from going to jail.
Yeah, because that's just because I really, really respect him. Because I don't want to tarnish his
image.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because like his dad, he gets that a lot from his dad because his dad is not I'm gonna stand here and cuss you out type guy. Mm. He's put your arm around you, let's go talk about it. And he might bust you in the mouth when jogging around the corner and nobody else sees it. But,
I know where that was going.
Yeah. But with that being said, that family is such mild-mannered in a cutthroat business.
Yes.
I'm amazed that they've succeeded as much as they have.
Yeah.
Honestly,
it's just they're unreal. Super polite, very respectful. It's unbelievable how they treat their employees and everything. They treat them good, and I don't see how they don't get mad at sometimes.
Yeah.
But I've never seen Chucky mad. I've seen him upset at himself, but never going off like I would.
Yeah.
Nah, I've got a short temper.
Yeah, Scotty, I'm going to flip this damn table over, screw that guy, that guy. And if one of those two don't whoop me, I'm going to, that guy's getting it too.
Oh, I think I'd fight a chainsaw if I had to.
Well, that's because you grew up at the dirt track.
But there wasn't that many fights at the dirt track.
Well, that's
and it really wasn't over racing. It was probably somebody messing with somebody else's girlfriend or wife or kid or
Well, that's what I was going to say. The fights at the dirt track was not, we're going to bicker every week. But if you got in a fight at the dirt track, you better be ready to fight because it was a fight.
Yes.
It wasn't.
Yes.
Some of us ain't ready sometimes.
Yeah. Kurt was not ready. He about got killed. I saved Kurt.
Yeah, he saved my life.
He owes everything that he's had since that day at Bardstown forward to me. Because I'm not no badass, but I'm a lot better fighting than he was.
I ain't no badass. I guess I could take a punch.
Yeah, I told Kurt that night. I said, "Man, you raced at the drone for 25 years. You don't know how to fight." What the hell? And Kurt said, "I'm not very good at fighting." I said, "Yeah, no shit. I seen that." Yeah,
I've been in a few.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate you coming on. Like I said, legendary family from right here in Louisville, Kentucky. Scotty Earl, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Scotty.
All right, Flash, that was Scotty Earl.
Yeah.
Legendary figure here in the Louisville, Kentucky area. One thing I thought was really neat when he was over at Scotty's shop, he's been doing this for over 50 years, and they're still thrashing during the week, still working on race cars.
Yep.
We grew up racing with our dad, and, our dad were our heroes, but our dad wasn't other people's heroes. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
they were heroes to us.
Yeah.
But everybody in the state of Kentucky knows who Duckman is.
Oh, yeah.
So growing up in the shadows of Duck it's had to be challenging.
Yeah.
Scotty talked about that, and he talked about, well, we just race. That's just what we do.
Yep. And they race well.
Yeah. Everything he does. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's a Super Late model,
Yep.
we won. Dirt modified, they won. Pavement street stock, they won.
Yep.
Pavement figure 8 car, they won. So it didn't matter what it was. But one thing that I found fascinating by Scotty is I asked him, "Is this still fun?" because a lot of people like us, we still love racing.
Yeah.
But we don't love that part of it. We don't love the, oh my God, I got to fix a frame horn this week. Oh my God. But in Scotty, like in Scotty's defense, he's like, that's my favorite part. I love that part.
I got to pull the motor out this week. Heck, they pulled the motor out and changed it.
Saturday.
Yeah, it's racetrack.
So,
well, I think they come home and change it.
Yeah, they
still.
did.
But yeah.
Yeah, he still loves racing after all these years, and that's hard to say for somebody that's done it like they have.
Yeah, as much
up
as
and
they
down
have.
the road. I mean, you know, he grew up like we grew up going to the races, but he actually grew up going to the races.
Yeah.
On the road, living the gypsy lifestyle, and you know, just hard workers. And one thing I can say about Scotty is when he's at the racetrack, he's a competitor. He wants to beat you.
Yeah.
But he wants to race you. So if you have problems and he has it, it's yours. Whatever you need, because he don't want to win because you didn't pull on the racetrack.
Right.
And nowadays, we don't get that with a lot of people.
No, a lot of people.
A lot of people are like, hell.
Too bad.
Yeah, that sucks for you. Our night just got easier.
Yeah.
But, you know, Scotty and the whole family, his mom's still very part of it. Every night they work on the race car. You know, his mom still cooks them dinner and brings it to the guys in the garage.
In the garage and everything, yeah.
And it looked like, as we rode up, looked like she even brought out some milkshakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
she's heavily involved with them guys as far as keeping them going, I think.
Yeah, well, honestly, I think the reason why they're still racing is because she still wants to race.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I can see where Scotty would be like, you know, I'm good. I'm just going to go watch.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't think Mom's going to let that happen.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I think Scotty's one of them guys that still just can't go watch all the time.
Yeah.
I think he's got to have a car, yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be. And like when I asked him, I said, man, how's it feel to, you know, only have one car in this garage? He's like, I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because every time I've been over there, you know, there's been multiple cars in the shop, in the trailers. So
The one car they had in there, they had it all apart the other night, trying to make it faster, though.
yeah. So that's what they do.
Yep.
He will not be outworked.
And that's how you do it.
Yeah, he will not be outworked. So we really appreciate Scotty for coming on and giving the insight to growing up in your dad's shadow.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, both of our dads were, you know, highly successful racers.
Yep.
But in the same token, they were highly successful in our area.
Right.
Not national
not
type.
regional type.
Yeah. So, but you know, it was a fun interview, and you know, I'm glad Scotty, you know, cut up. And one thing I really liked was he offers suggestions to racetracks and drivers and car owners, like let's do this. So he's very involved in motorsports.
Yep.
This weekend's upcoming events, like I said, Flash and I have an off weekend with the Cumberland Plateau Oval Modified Series. So does that mean we have an off weekend? Probably not.
No.
Because there is races all in our area. Coming up Friday at City Raceway, Midwest 410 Sprint Cars and the Indiana Crate Late Model Series has got their first road race of the year. You know, they run Brownstown and all tracks through Indiana.
Yeah.
This is the first Indiana Pro Crate Late Model race that's actually hitting the road this year. It's going to be at Circle City Raceway. That's Friday. Also Friday, one place that we're going to later in this year, but Beckley Motor Speedway has the Schaefer's Oil Spring Nationals.
Yeah.
$7,500 a win for the Schaefer's Oil Spring Nationals.
Beckley's a nice place, too.
Yeah, Beckley's one of those places.
We did make it down there last year, so.
Yeah. That was actually, I guess that was your first.
That was my first time just going with you. I wasn't, you know, I wasn't actually doing anything much, but.
Yeah. Well, we measured.
I did do a little bit.
Yeah, we measured some cars and stuff. We made it look legit. I mean, hell.
Yeah.
But no, Beckley is a super nice racetrack, and if the weather's nice, Beckley is one of those places that races really good.
Yeah.
The time we was there, we had 197,412 degrees that day.
Oh yeah, it was hot.
So the racetrack was cooked. But Friday and Saturday doubleheader, World of Outlaw late models, not quite in our area, but if you're wanting to check out a badass event, Talladega Short Track.
Yeah.
$12,000 to win on Friday, $50,000 to win Saturday for the World of Outlaw late models.
Man.
And there's one support division.
Oh, yeah.
USCS 360 wing sprint cars.
Oh, well, that's horrible.
Yeah, that's so. So Talladega is a.
You might want to try to make that one if you're in that area.
Yeah, if you're anywhere within a few hours of Talladega, and I know if you listen to this many times, TJ's Crawfish is on the backstretch, and they'll have the shrimp bowl that's worth the drive alone, but you're also probably going to get close to 50 or 60 super late models, and I'd say 30 or so sprint cars.
Yeah.
So that would be an interesting weekend. closer to home, if you want to visit 2 badass bull rings this weekend. World of Outlaw Sprint Cars are at Jacksonville Speedway in Illinois. It's the quarter-mile black dirt where the cars run on the wall, through the wall, on the fence.
Yeah.
One of the best racetracks in the country. And then Saturday night, here locally, the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars are at Tri-State Speedway at Hobstadt, Indiana. Best racetrack in the country. Right there with it, race-wise. I know a lot of drivers bitch about it because it doesn't grip up.
Yeah.
You know, they don't like the farm work, the track prep. But Tri-State Speedway, you will not get dusty. You will get great food. You'll get great food, and there will be, well, if there is downtime, it's because there's tractors on the track.
Yeah, it's because they're working on the track. That's the only reason there's downtime.
But Tri-State Speedway Saturday, really looking forward to that. Also, Richmond Raceway, Ultimate Heart of America Super Late Models. It's at Richmond Raceway this weekend. I think $5,000 to win there.
Yeah.
Locally.
Is that their season opener?
Season opener, yeah. Got UMP mods and crate late models on the docket as well.
Yeah, that'd be a good show too.
If you're wanting to go on a trip to the east, 2 monster racetracks, but both race well. Lucas Oil late models are at Georgetown Speedway in Georgetown, Delaware, and Hagerstown, Maryland. Hagerstown, Maryland is a place I've been. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's like Terre Haute big.
Yeah.
But it races really good. And, 2 final events this weekend locally. USAC National Midgets are at the Kokomo Grand Prix Friday and Saturday. So the USAC National Midgets are at Kokomo. And I think Friday they are running non-wing sprint cars with them. And then Saturday, non-wing sprint cars and I think UMP modifieds. So, So that's what's going on at Kokomo this weekend. And if you're decided that that's all too much racing and you don't want to travel, we have the longest continuing running figure 8 race in the country, the Midwestern Championship figure 8 races at the Sports Dome Speedway Saturday. So if you want to go watch Outlaws in the local area, you can always hit up the Drome right across the bridge. But there's going to be plenty of dirt flying this weekend, so that's pretty sure we're going to be heading some route that way.
Yeah.
Don't know exactly yet what the plans are. Gotta check it out with the wife and make sure everything's good.
Yeah.
I.e., just kind of let her know where we're going.
Right.
So we'll do that. But before we get off here, guys, every week our listeners we're growing each and every week, and we really appreciate that. And it's because of you guys are telling people about us. So please like, share, subscribe, hell, comment.
Yeah.
However you want to do it. Tag us in a comment and maybe somebody will see it that way. But we really appreciate you getting the word out on us. We're averaging close to 4,000 listens a week, every week. So thank you. And that's because of what you guys are doing, not because of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because we're doing the same shit we did since episode number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just bullshitting. So we really appreciate you guys help spreading the word.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Flash?
No, I think that's about it. Just try to get out and watch races this weekend. Hopefully the weather will be good. I haven't really checked for next week yet, but surely out of some of these you can find someplace to go if you need to.
We say get out and support your local racetrack.
Yeah.
It can't rain everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Just how far are you willing to go?
Yeah, that's it.
You can always come home Sunday.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
If it's under 12 hours, you can be back Sunday in time to make it to work Monday.
Just get home every night at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah,
that's what we did.
That's what we did this weekend. So, but until next time, we'll be trading sliders.